and good day again to everyone. So for this video, I'm going to talk about another educational one under the subject GE through Reading Visual Arts. And this is the continuation of my discussion under the chapter entitled The Language of Visual Experience. So aside from the terms that we need to know in order for us to carefully evaluate or interpret a certain work of art, we need to know the ones who made these works of arts. And we are speaking of artists. So we're going to talk about one kind of artist that we're going to encounter in this subject. So I am talking about folk artists. Okay, of course, in order for us to know what a folk artist does in his works of arts, we must know the definition of folk art first, okay? So let's have folk art. Folk art encompasses art produced from an indigenous culture or by peasants or other laboring tradespeople. In contrast to fine art, folk art is primarily utilitarian and decorative rather than purely aesthetic. So we have the key word there, utilitarian. So let us define utilitarianism. Utilitarianism is a family of normative ethical theories that prescribe actions that maximize happiness and well-being for all affected individuals. So usually, the folk artists produce these kinds of works of arts in which they depict happiness in the simple living, especially to the common people, okay, or to the common good. So they address issues, they address different concerns in the society that affect all the people, okay. So they are not denying the fact that despite the different problems in the society, there is happiness, and that's what they usually portray in their works of arts. So we have another kind of artists. Under that, we have outsider artists. So here, art produced by those with no formal training outside the established channels of art exhibition. So there are the people who were born with talents when it comes to these arts, okay? So you know what I mean, okay? Because there are those people who really have that kind of skills, gift, in which when they draw, it's as if they had their training, but they didn't have. It's just a matter of passion, it's just a matter of practice, because it's in there, it's in their heart. That's why they were able to do it, outsider artists. Now, we are going to encounter the different kinds of arts these artists produce. So we have the representational art. Art in which it is the artist's attention to present again or represent a particular subject, especially pertaining to realistic portrayal of subject matter. So I have an example here, okay? Alright, this representational art represents something, okay? So there's a meaning behind this work of art. That's representational art. And then we have abstract art, okay? You are familiar with this one. Okay, how do we say that a work of art is abstract? Let's have the definition. Art that is based on natural appearances but departs significantly from them. Forms are modified or changed to varying degrees. So it means that you could actually see a real object, a real picture. It's just that there's an application of distorting the picture, of somewhat having significant creativity in order to produce another work of art, okay? So let me have an example like this one, okay? Could you see as something there? Yes, there's subject, right? It's just that it's somewhat distorted, or it's somewhat not arranged into an organized manner for you to have the literal meaning. So from there, you could actually give a lot of meanings. That's abstract art, okay? So there's a real object. It's just that it was not organized, okay? Or it was creatively arranged into a different form. Okay, so if we have representational art, we have non-representational art. So art without reference to anything outside itself without representation. It is also called non-objective without recognizable objects, okay? Alright, so nothing to represent. This is non-representational art. Let's have this one. Okay. Is there any subject that you could represent? There's none. There's just the combination of the lines, the shapes. It doesn't represent anything. But of course, the artist who made this one has the purpose of relaying a message to a viewer. Okay? So, most of the time, if we would like to know the message, of course, we're going to talk to the artist. Okay, and then we have another art, figurative art. It is a representational art in which the human form, rather than the natural world, plays a principal role. Okay, so it represents something. But most of the time, the subject here are the humans. Okay, and usually it's just one human. Okay, so let me have an example like this one. Okay, it's a figurative art. Okay, so there's a human as the subject, and then it represents something. What do you think does this picture represent? Okay, so it has the touch of beauty because it's a woman. There's nature. Okay, and from my own perspective, it's something of taking care of the nature. Okay, because the woman is holding the, how do you call it, the flowers, okay, the product of the nature. Okay, so that's figurative art, representational art in which the subject is a human. Okay, so we're talking about subjects. Okay, what are subjects in representational art? What the artist chooses to depict. It may be a landscape or a mythological scene or even an invented subject. So it's like the focus of the whole art. That's the subject, okay? Simply said. So of course, we have the form. In the broadest sense, the total physical characteristics of an object or event usually describes the visual elements of a work of art that create meaning, okay? So you have here the clue word physical characteristic of an object or event. This is somewhat synonymous to the term that we are using in this reading visual art subject, medium. Okay, it's just that it has something to do with the physical characteristic, not the technique. Because for the medium, it has something to do with the technique on how the work of art is formed. But for the form, it's just the physical characteristic. Okay, so there. And then of course another term that we're going to use, okay, because artists are using this one, iconography. Okay, so the symbolic meaning of subjects and signs used to convey ideas important to particular cultures or religions and the conventions governing the use of such forms. So to simply say, this is the application of the different icons, okay, different icons, and that the artist is going to inculcate a certain meaning, okay, and of course that meaning would come from you as a viewer, okay. While for the artist who made that work of art, when he made that work of art, he has something in mind pertaining to his culture or religion, you as the viewer have the different view, okay? And that comes now the different symbolic meanings of the subjects and signs we view in the work of art. Okay, and then we have here aesthetics. Okay, this is very familiar to us. It is the study and philosophy of the quality and nature of sensory responses related to but not limited by the concept of beauty. Okay, so it's just concerned to beauty. Okay, and then we have classical. All right. So the art of ancient Greece and Rome, in particular the style of Greek art that flourished during the 5th century, any art based on a clear, rational, and regular structure emphasizing its part with special emphasis on balance and proportion. So, and this time, they are focusing on balance and proportion. Let me show you an example. So we have that one. Okay. So there's the balance from left to right, from top to bottom. Okay? Alright, classical. And then we have another kind of art, monochromatic. Okay, you usually see this with the effects from your camera, okay, on your cell phone. So it's a color scheme limited to variations of one hue with its tints and or shades. So let me give you an example. That one, okay, so they made use of blue, okay, different hues. Okay, so another slip. Clay that is stained to the consistency of cream and used as paint on earthenware or stoneware ceramics. Actually, these arts that I'm telling you are just some of the arts that we're going to encounter in this reading visual arts, okay? So these are just the basic ones, okay? So let me show you the example of this, that one, okay? So this is the design that we could see from our plates, from different kinds of vases, like that. Okay, so another work of art. Okay, prints. It's a multiple organism impression made from a plate, stone, wood block, or screen by an artist, or made under the artist's supervision. Prints are usually made in editions with each print numbered and signed by the artist. Okay, so you have this one. Okay, so it comes with the sequence with numbers, okay? Those are prints, okay? So we have that kind of example. Alright, so those are just the things that I want to include under folk artists, okay? This is part 2 of the language of visual experience, and I'm going to talk about another kind of artist and the related terms to that artist on my next video. And thank you for watching. Goodbye!